Welcome to Rays of Hope, where inspiration meets possibilities. Join us on this journey as we explore videos that illuminate the path to positivity, resilience, and success. The ego is that inner voice telling you who you are, what you deserve, and how you should be seen. It shapes your identity, but it can also trap you in patterns of defensiveness, comparison, and suffering. Many spiritual traditions and psychologists suggest that dissolving the ego, or at least loosening its grip, could lead to greater peace and deeper connections. People explore this path for different reasons. Some want to reduce anxiety, others seek spiritual freedom, and many just want to stop feeling so stuck in their own stories. Whatever the motivation, the idea isn't about erasing yourself. It's about making space for something more meaningful. Let's look at how loosening the ego's hold could change the way you experience life. Understanding the ego and its functions. The ego isn't just some abstract idea, it's the part of you that says, "This is who I am." It helps you navigate daily life, making decisions and negotiating between your raw desires and social expectations. But when the ego takes charge too much, it can box you into a rigid version of yourself, leaving little room for growth. So before asking why we might want to dissolve it, let's break down what the ego actually does, and where it trips us up. The ego in psychological theory. Sigmund Freud described the ego as the mediator in a three-part system. The id is pure instinct, think hunger, anger, or desire, demanding instant satisfaction. The superego is the moral watchdog, pushing you to follow rules and ideals. The ego sits in the middle, balancing these forces while also dealing with reality. Modern psychology still sees the ego as a manager of identity, but with less drama. Cognitive and behavioral theories suggest it's more about self-regulation, helping you adapt, plan, and maintain a stable sense of you. It filters experiences, shapes your story, and tries to keep your self-image intact. Without it, you'd struggle to function in relationships or work. But when it gets too protective, problems start. The dual nature of the ego. The ego gives you a sense of coherence. It helps you say, "I'm a teacher," or "I'm someone who values honesty," which is useful. But it also resists change, interprets criticism as a threat, and clings to outdated beliefs about who you should be. Here's where things get tricky. Self-preservation versus stagnation. The ego's job is to defend your identity, but this can make you rigid. Ever doubled down on an argument just to avoid admitting you were wrong? That's the ego at work. Storytelling versus suffering. The ego weaves narratives, "I failed because I'm not smart enough," that can trap you in loops of shame or blame. The ego isn't bad. It's like a helpful assistant that sometimes oversteps. Recognizing its role, and its limits, is the first step to loosening its grip without losing yourself. Spiritual and philosophical perspectives on ego dissolution. The idea of dissolving the ego isn't just psychology, it's a thread running through centuries of spiritual practice and philosophical thought. Eastern traditions often see the ego as an illusion keeping us from true freedom, while Western thinkers approach it as a barrier to deeper self-awareness. Whether through meditation or introspection, the goal isn't to destroy the ego but to see past its limits. Ego dissolution in Buddhism. Buddhism's concept of anatta, non-self, flips the script on identity. Instead of a fixed you, it teaches that the self is a temporary bundle of thoughts, sensations, and experiences. The ego? Just a useful story we tell ourselves, one that creates suffering when we cling to it. Key ideas in Buddhism about ego dissolution. Attachment breeds suffering. The ego thrives on labels: successful, failed, better than. Letting go of these stories reduces the pain when they inevitably change. Enlightenment is seeing through the illusion. When you stop identifying so tightly with the ego, you tap into a quieter, more spacious awareness. Meditation practices in Buddhism train the mind to observe thoughts without grabbing onto them. Over time, this loosens the ego's grip, making room for peace. Western philosophical views on ego transcendence. Western thinkers like Carl Jung and Ken Wilber see ego transcendence as a step toward wholeness, not annihilation. Jung called it individuation, a process where the ego stops running the show and integrates unconscious parts of the self. Modern transpersonal psychology builds on this. Ego as a phase, not the finish line. Ken Wilber's models suggest we outgrow the ego's narrow focus as we mature spiritually. Beyond, me versus them. When the ego softens, empathy grows. You stop seeing others as separate threats or competitors. Existentialists like Sartre saw the ego as a mask we wear to avoid life's uncertainties. Dropping it means facing freedom and responsibility head-on. Whether east or west, the message is similar. The ego has a role, but it shouldn't be the only voice in the room. Quieting it doesn't erase you. It lets something deeper come through. The practical benefits of ego dissolution. Loosening the ego's grip isn't just philosophical, it changes how you relate to others, handle stress, and experience daily life. When you stop letting the ego dictate your reactions, you create room for more meaningful connections and fewer self-imposed struggles. Here's how that plays out in real, tangible ways. Improved relationships and empathy. The ego loves to divide the world into me versus them. It pushes you to defend your opinions, protect your self-image, and judge others to feel secure. But what happens when you soften that reflexive need to be right all the time? Less defensiveness, more listening. Without the ego shouting, "They're attacking you," criticism becomes feedback instead of a threat. You actually hear what others say instead of preparing your rebuttal. Deeper connections. When you're not caught up in projecting a certain image, conversations get real. People feel it when you're genuinely present, not just waiting for your turn to speak. More natural empathy. Studies show that mindfulness practices, which reduce ego fixation, increase compassionate responses. Without the ego's "what about me?" filter, you notice others' emotions more clearly. Think about the last time you had an argument where neither person backed down. Was it really about the topic, or just two egos clashing? Letting go of that need to win opens doors to understanding. That's part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for joining us on this uplifting journey with Rays of Hope. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more videos that spark hope and empowerment. Until next time, keep shining brightly. Thank you for watching.